It looked like it's happening. Angel Reese is asking out of Chicago already.
Angel Reese officially puts the Chicago Sky on notice. We're not doing the same thing this offseason that we did last offseason. Stop bringing me bums to play with.
The WNBA just got a wake-up call, and it's coming straight from Angel Reese. She's done with the way Chicago Sky has been handling things. Angel made it clear, either the team changes, or she's out. "We're not doing the same thing we did last year," she said in a bombshell interview. But here's the twist. Angel Reese has a lot of demands, but does she have what it takes to back them up? 2.
Players. I want the best of the best. I want the upper echelon.
What Angel really wants: total roster overhaul. Reese isn't holding back. She demanded better players around her. She wants the best of the best, and she's not willing to settle for anything less. But what about her current team? Is she forgetting that sometimes the best players need more than just talent? How can she demand changes when she hasn't delivered consistent performance herself? Angel Reese's comments didn't just create a little ripple, they stirred up a massive storm inside the Chicago Sky's locker room. Imagine being a veteran on the team, someone who has earned their place through years of hard work and sacrifice, and suddenly, a younger player who hasn't proven herself yet calls for a complete roster overhaul. The veterans felt disrespected by her words, and the younger players were caught in a tough spot, feeling like they were being dismissed. The team had to call a crisis meeting to address the situation, trying to repair the damage done by Reese's bold demands. But the real question is, can a locker room thrive when it's divided by such public criticisms? After all, great teams are built on chemistry, not just talent. Instead of uniting, Angel Reese's words have only brought out the team's underlying frustrations. Was this a moment of growth for the Sky, or a dangerous step toward creating a dysfunctional environment? The most toxic moment in Angel Reese's interview came when she dismissed Courtney Vanderloot as being too old for the future of the Chicago Sky. Let's be clear, Vanderloot is a 2-time WNBA champion.
Angel Reese is fed up. She's tired of the losing. She's tired of being the gum on the bottom of the shoe of the league. She is fed up with the Chicago Sky, and it looks like Angel Reese wants out. It looks like she wants out.
Let's see what Angel Reese had to say. "I'm not settling for the same shit we did this year." Oh boy. Reese told the Tribune, "We have to get good players. We have to get great players. That's a non-negotiable for me. I'm willing and wanting to play with the best. And however I can help to get the best here, that's what I'm going to do this offseason. So it's going to be very, very important this offseason to make sure we attract the best of the best, because we can't settle for what we have this year."
A 5-time All-Star, and one of the best point guards in the history of the game. To brush her aside as irrelevant is not just disrespectful, it's a slap in the face to a player who has given everything to the game and to the team. Vanderloot's leadership and experience are irreplaceable, and many players across the league know how much she brings to the table. When Reese made her comments, it didn't just hurt Vanderloot, it hurt every veteran player who has sacrificed years for the team. It's easy to demand changes when you're young and haven't been through the grind, but do Angel Reese's demands show maturity or a lack of understanding about the veterans' value? The older players might have seen it as a sign of immaturity rather than leadership. And this kind of disrespect isn't just about one player. Reese's attitude could end up isolating her from the very core of the team she's trying to build around her. At this point, it's clear that Angel Reese's comments and actions are just one piece of a much bigger puzzle. What we're seeing isn't just a disgruntled player or a controversial interview, it's a reflection of deeper systemic issues within the WNBA itself. Reese's demands for better players and her frustration with the current roster are not isolated concerns. They speak to a larger narrative that's been building up around the league for years. Is the WNBA truly doing enough to build competitive teams and foster healthy environments for its stars? Let's break this down. For years, fans have been frustrated with inconsistent officiating in the WNBA, and this season has been no exception. Players and coaches across the league have voiced their complaints about officiating, with some even publicly calling out the referees for missed calls or inconsistent rulings. Minnesota Lynx star Napheesa Collier and Washington Mystics coach Eric Tebow are just a few examples of those speaking out, and their voices are not isolated. Reese's comments about her team's struggles with officiating are just an extension of this widespread frustration. But here's where things get interesting. Instead of the WNBA taking action to address these concerns, it's been business as usual. When players speak up about officiating issues, they are met with silence, or worse, they become the ones criticized for being difficult or unprofessional. Reese, instead of receiving the support of the league for raising a legitimate concern, is instead painted as a villain for voicing her frustration. This lack of accountability within the league is becoming a serious issue. If players feel like their voices are ignored, it raises an important question. How can the league grow and thrive if it refuses to address its own internal flaws? And this is just one side of the problem. The other, perhaps even more pressing issue, is the double standards that players like Angel Reese and Sophie Cunningham face. The moment either player donned the Indiana Fever jersey, the criticism intensified. Cunningham, once beloved for her fiery spirit and personality, suddenly found herself at the center of intense online hate when she became part of the Fever. Why? Because the Fever's uniform became a target. It's a disturbing trend where players seem to be vilified the moment they become part of a certain team or organization. Reese's case is no different. Before she was with Chicago, she was adored by fans, but the moment she demands changes, she becomes the villain. Despite her valid concerns about the team's performance and potential, the Chicago Sky's front office has made moves, but the results are undeniably mixed. Despite giving up a future star in Sonia Citron and making a splash with acquisitions like Ariel Atkins, the team still hasn't found the winning formula that can carry them through a full season. Reese's comments reflect her frustration with the lack of progress.
Stated multiple lead sources told Front Office Sports that the entire team has seen Angel Reese comments that teammates are unhappy with the direct attacks. A team meeting is planned at which players are expected to address Reese directly.
And her criticism wasn't just aimed at individual players, it was a critique of the whole organizational structure. It's hard not to wonder, if the front office is constantly trying to appease players like Reese, what's being done to build a team that is truly cohesive and championship-worthy? But at the same time, the WNBA's handling of such criticism has been problematic. The league has shown a tendency to prioritize silence over confrontation, avoiding direct engagement with players' issues in favor of a more corporate stance that leaves athletes feeling unsupported and misunderstood. It's a culture that stifles the very voices that could help the league evolve. This lack of dialogue only perpetuates the issues players face, and it's clear that the WNBA still struggles with its internal culture of accountability and transparency. Fans want to see their stars on the court, but they also want to know that the league is taking their concerns seriously, whether it's about officiating, player development, or team building. And then there's the irony. The very players the league seems to have problems with, Caitlinclark, Aaliyah Boston, Angel Reese, and even Sophie Cunningham, are the ones making waves both on and off the court. They're not just playing the game, they're changing it. But instead of embracing this evolution, the WNBA continues to sideline real conversations about how to make the league more competitive, transparent, and player-friendly. Reese's criticisms about the roster may be harsh, but they're valid. They speak to the bigger need for more sustained support for players. It's no longer enough for teams to simply pick up the pieces and patch together a roster. There needs to be a long-term, strategic approach to how teams are built and maintained. The league has to foster an environment where players like Angel Reese don't feel ignored, and where players can be vocal without the fear of being alienated by their own organizations or fans. Ultimately, the WNBA needs to seriously reevaluate its approach to criticism and its handling of player feedback. Reese's outburst may have seemed drastic to some, but it's a reflection of a larger issue. It's clear that the league needs to do more to empower its stars, because without these voices, the WNBA will continue to miss opportunities to grow and evolve into the powerhouse it has the potential to be. Angel Reese and others like her are not just demanding change for themselves, but they are pushing for a better future for the WNBA as a whole. The question now is, will the league listen and respond, or will they continue to silence those who push for progress? Now, the big question is, if Angel Reese wants to be seen as the leader of the Chicago Sky, shouldn't she back it up with dominance on the court? Unfortunately, that's where things fall apart. Yes, her stats may look solid at first glance, but the underlying issues cannot be ignored. Angel Reese is leading the WNBA in turnovers, which is an astonishing statistic for a player who is supposed to be leading her team to victory. But it's not just that she's turning the ball over, it's the fact that she's struggling with the fundamentals. When you look at her turnovers, it's clear that it's not about aggression or taking chances. It's about bad decisions under pressure, lack of control, and impatience. As a player that the franchise is building around, you can't afford to be reckless with the ball, especially when your role requires you to be the anchor of the team. You can't blame your teammates for lack of chemistry when you're the one constantly giving the ball away and making poor decisions that create chaos on the court. But it doesn't stop there.
And, you know, that stuff alone is good for 10 to 12 points a game. And, for this group, the way that they share the ball, how unselfish they are. I mean, I'm really proud of them. It's not been ideal circumstances all season long, but they've shown the character of who they are. They've been resilient. They've responded to adversity, and they continue to elevate one another. And, I couldn't be more proud of this group than I am at this moment.
Angel Reese has also become a major discipline problem. 8th technical fouls? That's not just a bad habit. It's a reflection of poor leadership and lack of control over emotions. It's one thing to be competitive, but it's another to constantly jaw at referees and pick up technical fouls that hurt your team. The timing couldn't be worse either. The latest suspension came just before a crucial match against the Indiana Fever, a team they needed to beat. Reese wasn't suspended because of injury. She was suspended because of her own actions. And this is where her self-sabotage becomes clear. If you're demanding that your teammates be better, shouldn't you be setting the example on the court? But instead, she's adding fuel to the fire of discontent and frustration among her teammates. The question now becomes, how can a team ever build around a player who can't keep control of her own game? If Reese keeps leading the league in turnovers, getting suspended, and failing to perform under pressure, it's hard to argue that she's the answer for Chicago's future. She might think she's demanding greatness, but her own performance is far from living up to the standard she's setting for everyone else. Now, let's take a look at Caitlinclark, the polar opposite of Angel Reese when it comes to leadership. Clark, a star rookie, has been playing in one of the most high-pressure environments in WNBA history. Every single game she plays is analyzed, and yet, she handles it with patience, maturity, and professionalism that's rare for someone her age. Even when Clark was dealing with her own injuries, she didn't hide from the spotlight. Instead of isolating herself like Reese, she traveled with her team, sat on the sidelines, cheered on her teammates, and provided leadership from the bench. That's the kind of character that makes a team better, even when the player isn't on the court. Contrast that with Angel Reese, who, when injured, chose not to show up and be with her teammates. Her absence was not just physical, it was emotional. Reese's decision to stay away shows a lack of commitment and undermines her role as a leader. Her teammates were left to fend for themselves, without their supposed cornerstone player being by their side. Clark, on the other hand, proved that leadership is not just about dominating on the court, but about being there when your team needs you the most. When Clark shows up, her teammates feel it. Players like Aaliyah Boston, Kelsey Mitchell, and Lexi Hull are more confident and play freer because Clark's presence unlocks their potential. She doesn't just make plays, she creates opportunities for others, and that's what separates the good players from the great ones. The stats back this up too. Clark not only leads the league in assists, but she also raises the overall play of everyone around her. While Reese's performances are often overshadowed by turnovers and disciplinary issues, Clark's game has been a model of consistency, leadership, and professionalism. If you want to build a team around a star player, Caitlinclark is the type of leader every team would love to have. Reese's issues, however, make it seem like the Chicago Sky might need to reconsider their whole strategy going forward. After everything that's happened this season, it's fair to ask, was Angel Reese ever the right bet for the Chicago Sky? It's clear now that Reese has not lived up to the expectations set for her. She has demanded more talent, more upgrades, and better players to surround her. But what about her own play on the court? If you're going to ask for an overhaul of your teammates, shouldn't you be setting the standard by performing at a level that justifies your status as the centerpiece of the franchise? Instead, what we see is a player who leads the league in turnovers, has picked up numerous technical fouls, and has been suspended at some of the most crucial moments. It's one thing to ask for greatness, but when you're not showing it yourself, it's easy to see why the Sky's front office might be wondering if they made the right call in building around Reese. If you can't back up your demands with solid performance, then you start to become a liability instead of a leader. The contrast with Caitlinclark couldn't be more stark. While Clark has elevated her entire team, Reese's behavior has created dysfunction and division within the Chicago Sky. Reese's absence when injured, her constant criticism of teammates, and her lack of discipline all point to a player who might not be the future the Sky need. It seems like Reese's demands for better players might be masking the real issue, her own inability to lead and take ownership of her mistakes. The Indiana Fever, with Clark at the helm, have built a culture of success and unity, and fans are flocking to see them in action. On the other hand, the Chicago Sky are stuck in a spiral of apologies, discontent, and inconsistent performance. Chicago needs a leader who brings the team together, not a player who demands more and gives less. Reese's downfall isn't just about bad luck or injury, it's about her own choices, and those choices might end up costing her the opportunity to lead a team to the promised land. Caitlinclark, on the other hand, has shown what true leadership is all about. Will the Sky move on from Reese and build around a future that's grounded in real leadership? Only time will tell, but for now, Clark's rise shows the value of professionalism, commitment, and team-first mentality, qualities that Reese might need to learn if she ever wants to lead a team to success.